Imagine transforming your health, but not with radical, overwhelming leaps and bounds. Rather, with small, incremental, baby steps that you'll hardly even notice as they're happening. Today on Return to Eden, we'll be unraveling the science behind the revolutionary approach to meeting what seems like an impossible health goal with small, incremental changes. I'm Kendra, Hann, fitness and nutrition specialist, here with Jamie Woodle, integrative nutrition health coach and master of science in health education. Jamie, tell me a little bit more about the concept of baby stepping.
Well, baby stepping is really rooted in the idea of making incremental behavior change or small changes instead of huge changes. So this is where you take a big goal, a huge goal, and you break it down into tiny little steps.
Bite-sized pieces, one might say, so that you get the benefit of experiencing these tiny victories throughout the process. That can be very validating. I mean, we've said it on programs before. It's progress, not perfection. But I often think about it like climbing a mountain. If you look at the mountain, which in my life is usually laundry, it's overwhelming. It feels insurmountable. How am I ever going to get through this? But if you focus on that step right in front of you, or finding a matching sock, that victory, that small victory, can help the progress feel much faster.
Yes, we don't make big change overnight. Most people don't. Most people. But we tend to have more success when we make small changes. So you may have experienced this where you decide, oh, I'm going to go vegan for a while, and you cut it all out and you go through your pantry. But we tend to not be very successful long term. So the science is showing that small, minute changes that you can barely even notice over a long period of time produce the best results.
That makes sense to me, because a lot of the time when you want to make a big change, like going from being a couch potato to maybe an athlete, or going through a weight loss journey where you hope to lose 200 pounds or even 100 pounds, even 30 pounds, can feel so daunting. But by breaking it up into these bite-sized pieces, you're able to change your mindset rather than just hard stop changing your activities.
Exactly. When I lost 50 pounds, it took me well over a year to do it, because it's not always linear, right?
Yes.
I lose some weight. Oh, I gain a couple. It just happens. It's life. And so we need to not be discouraged when it doesn't look like this. You're not losing a pound every single week. Sometimes you gain a couple. Sometimes you lose two. It just depends. And so putting your mind behind the idea of this is a long journey. I'm going to keep going. I'm going to make small steps, small goals.
Right.
That is what this episode is about.
So we've discussed a few of the benefits that go along with baby stepping or making an incremental behavioral change in your life. Specifically, for me at least, it's the reduction in how overwhelming things are. So I have 3 kids at home. I work full time. I enjoy a lot of hobbies and different activities in my community. So the idea of just making a hard shift nutritionally, for instance, just doesn't feel realistic. And if I present it to myself as that, where I have to go vegan, I have to totally remove gluten, I have to never touch sugar again, that feels so overwhelming to me that 9 times out of 10, I'm going to get 3 days into it and just give up, because no one can be perfect in those types of things all the time, except for Joe Horn. Joe Horn can be perfect in those cold turkey shifts in his mentality, but the average person needs time to adjust to these changes.
So concentrating on one small task at a time reduces the anxiety that can come from making the change, and also increases the focus that you need to accomplish that task. It also helps you build confidence. When you have a small task and you're able to accomplish that, you feel pretty good about yourself. Achieving small steps boosts confidence, and celebrating minor victories reinforces a sense of progress and fosters motivation.
You know how much I love a celebration.
When we celebrate these small victories and we're building confidence, it promotes consistency. We feel good about it. We want to keep going because we like the results we're getting.
Yeah.
Whether it's just the boost in confidence or the results maybe you see on the scale or in your skin or how you feel, the clarity of your mind, it really makes us want to keep going. And that's the key. That's what we need.
Tell me a little bit about the intention behavior gap and the science behind that.
So the intention behavior gap refers to the fact that even though we intend to change a behavior, we're not always successful doing it. There is a gap there. Just because you're motivated at the time and you are intentional about making this change, it does not necessarily mean you are going to result in the actual behavior change.
And that's where you can definitely see the value in having those tiny bite-sized victories that you can piece out over the course of time. It's about mindset. It's progress, not perfection.
Psychological investigation and health behavior theory has recognized that we tend to set very vague goals and even something called avoidance goals. So this could look like, I'm going to lose weight, or I'm not going to touch sugar. And we tend to not always follow through with these types of goals.
It sounds to me like that is a really good way that we can avoid being accountable for those things. Like, you don't have to feel bad because you can just start losing weight tomorrow, or you can just avoid sugar next week. Those avoidance goals are something that I think we're all guilty of doing. So again, forgiving yourself, accepting that it's the step in front of you, doing the next right thing.
Yes, these negative or vague goals, they're not effective. And science shows that we should actually be making something called approach goals. An example of an approach goal would be, instead of saying, I want to lose 30 pounds, an approach goal would be, I want to eat more carrots today. Having a focused goal on something that you are going to do instead of avoiding or just generalized and vague.
Or maybe even doing like a meatless Mondays would be like choosing one day of the week, one meal of that day to really focus on and help shift your mindset. So we've discussed the benefits, we've discussed the dangers of setting those avoidance goals, but what does this look like in terms of real life examples? How can I apply this to me?
So some of you may be familiar with SMART goals. This is where you have a goal and you break it down to make sure it is specific, that it's measurable, it's achievable, relevant, and time-bound. I learned about this in the military when we were learning about managing a team, but even to break down your small personal health goals, it's very beneficial. So you're going to take a large goal. Let's say you want to write a book. You might try just writing one paragraph a day, just a little bit, especially if you're like me and you're working a lot of hours. I'm talking to myself because I've often thought about writing a book, one paragraph a day, and eventually you will have a book.
Well, and maybe not even one paragraph, but saying I'm going to devote half an hour. I'm going to spend 30 minutes either in research, writing, or even just staring blankly at the screen, setting that routine of every day investing in whatever your goal is could be extremely beneficial while not overly taxing on your time. Small, measurable.
So because weight loss is on so many people's mind, I keep coming back to that because when I worked with clients, that was a huge thing. We all want to make sure that we're looking and feeling our best. So maybe you have a goal, let's say, I want to lose 20 pounds. Well, let's start with a little bit smaller version. I would like to lose 1 pound this week. Now you're going to take that goal for this week, I want to lose 1 pound, and you're going to put actionable steps behind it, 3 of them. So if I wanted to lose 1 pound this week, I might write down, fill my plate with more vegetables, eat a piece of fruit instead of a dessert.
Drink water instead of juice or a soft drink.
Yes, exactly. 3 things that you know you can achieve, that you know you can, that it's not too hard. Small, actionable steps. Maybe you want to work out for 10 minutes. Maybe you're just beginning and it's just a matter of getting it into your routine.
Right.
Maybe going to the gym for an hour 3 times a week feels unachievable right now. But what if you just went in and walked on the treadmill for 10 minutes? odds are actually once you get started, you're going to be motivated to do a little bit more. And next time, maybe a little bit more. And then maybe you have a hectic day or you just don't feel like you have a lot of energy. You're still doing 10 minutes and you could walk away. That is a place to start. And that's what is important. And that is what will keep you motivated and eventually bring you to your destination.
All of us are going to experience challenges when it comes to these small, minute changes even. Maybe you get sick. Maybe work gets hectic and you miss a few days or a week even of working out. Be flexible. Be kind to yourself. Forgive yourself when you're not able to have that tiny victory. And remember to give yourself credit for all of those victories that came before.
Yes, another important thing to do is to track your progress. So here you are doing these small little goals. Track it. Give yourself maybe a smiley face sticker on a chart or write down what you've accomplished that day. This gives you accountability. This helps you to see it, to visualize it, to know that I am making effort. There's something about our brains. You put all this work into something, but maybe your brain forgets because we only remember a small percentage of the days past, right? Writing it down so you can see it every time you go to the gym. Maybe on your phone calendar, you put a little note, something on there to let yourself know, I did this. I achieved this little thing, and you will be more motivated to keep going.
Yeah, how valuable on a hard day to be able to look back at all of the days when you checked that box. I went to the gym today. I had no sugar today. I chose water over soda today. These tiny victories are not just valuable in terms of our mindset changing, but also in understanding that we can be good, we can be successful while not being perfect, which is a lesson I spend a lot of time trying to teach my children.
Now, the third part of this is Kendra's favorite part, and this is celebrate those wins. Let's say you get through the week and you did those actionable steps. That is worth celebrating.
Absolutely.
Maybe you didn't lose the pound. Maybe you did. Maybe you lost 2. Maybe you lost half a pound, but you achieved your actionable steps. Celebrate. Buy yourself a new top. Do something fun.
Have a dance party with your kids in your house.
Is that what you do?
Maybe sometimes.
Anything to celebrate what you did. It may seem silly that I'm only celebrating a pound or a half a pound.
Or a few days at the gym.
Yes, exactly. But it's important to do so even if you feel silly because it releases dopamine in your brain and it really reinforces that you are doing it. It's not an overnight thing. You don't do it overnight. And that's why putting the intention into the small steps is what's going to get you there.
Well, and I'm a firm believer in the power of silliness and whimsy in terms of motivation. Accountability is not just a negative thing. We don't need to just be accountable when we're not accomplishing goals. We need to go ahead and carry that on through for the positives as well.
So as we've been discussing, it's important to stay flexible and adjust as you need. You have to learn to overcome these challenges. So maybe your kid has too many after-school appointments and the actionable goal you put isn't working out. Just make a new one. If you need to take a pause and start the next day, just do that. Make sure you don't give up. You can even seek support.
Yes, I think having what I like to call an accountability partner, and I've seen that phrase all over the place, is really useful when it comes to making changes. Again, accountability is not just a negative thing. That partner can be someone you turn to and say, hey, I missed 3 days at the gym because I was busy. And that person can look at you and say, but what about last week? But what about Monday and Tuesday? You killed it those days and you have been busy. We can do this. Having the support of someone you trust and respect, who trusts and respects you, is so valuable in our lives, just overall, but absolutely when it comes to making these incremental changes in our lives and in the lives of our families.
So we want to give one final example of how to do this because I don't want to just give information. I want to make sure that our viewers understand how to apply this. Otherwise, it won't make a difference, and we want to help. So let's give the example of maybe I want to eat a cleaner diet. It's a super vague goal, a common one. Let's break down what that might look like. Let's say this week, let's just assess where we are. I think it's important to have a baseline. Maybe the first week, you just write down what you've been eating. Maybe don't change anything yet. Maybe you find out, oh my gosh, I didn't realize I snack on chips 5 times a day without even thinking about it. And this is adding up and that's not healthy.
Yeah.
Just write down where we're at, what we're currently doing. then you can look at that and you can make a next assessment.
Yeah, establishing what your negative habits are early on can be so valuable when it comes to fixing those issues going forward.
So maybe now we kind of see we have some issues, we know what to adjust. Maybe start with the super baby step of I'm going to pick one meal this week where I'm going to find a new recipe and I'm going to try something new. So maybe I just want to fix breakfast. Maybe 3 breakfasts this week. I'm going to eat a green smoothie or perhaps some scrambled eggs, something healthier that you know you can accomplish. Maybe on week 4, you decide I'm going to go 1 or 2 days this week with no processed food, just completely whole, clean food. And once you have that down, maybe you can increase it to 4 days a week.
So as we've discussed, it's all about changing your mindset. These incremental behavioral changes are the best way, we think, to be successful when it comes to your health goals or any goal you may have in your life. Thank you so much for joining us today on Return to Eden. As always, if there's a topic you're interested in or a question you may have about today's topic, leave a comment below or reach out to us through our website, edensessentials.com. And we hope you have a blessed day.